Hello my dear friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara, and today we're going to be looking at Pluto in the 11th house. So this video is for you if you have this particular placement. If you're a cross watcher, welcome as well. Pluto in our natal charts deals with the area where we might go through some sort of catharsis or change or crisis, intense moments. It could be the area where we might have fears, unconscious fears. We could hide this aspect about ourselves wherever we have Pluto going through our natal chart. Also, it's going to be the area where you transform through, you undergo the most amount of transformation, and then also in turn, you're transforming probably something either for the generational line, the family line, the ancestral line, because it is Pluto, and then in turn for your overall generation as a whole, and then for the collective as a whole. Also, Pluto is the death and rebirth process, and it's also the area that deals with power and control. So you guys might notice that throughout your life, maybe when you were younger, maybe your power was taken away from you in this particular area, and you might be kind of seeking power now in this area to kind of reclaim it back to yourself. I always see Plutonian energy, Scorpionic energy as a pendulum swinging to kind of go from this extreme into that extreme, and then eventually you're going to neutralize somewhere in the middle after you've undergone this like whole change and transformation within, this whole like transmutation process within. It's very, very alchemical, happening subtly behind the scenes and more so energetically rather than anything. So the 11th house deals with our groups of friends, large groups of people overall. It's going to deal with humanitarianism, humanitarian issues overall. You guys might be interested in activism, for example, with this energy. Also, the 11th house does deal with the area where we want to connect the collective and help propel them forward. It is a futuristic way of thinking. It's where you guys might be unique, quirky, eccentric, just ahead of your time in this particular area. So Pluto going through this particular house, you guys might hide these aspects about yourself. Maybe when you guys were younger, you guys got labeled certain things where you guys didn't feel like you guys quite fit in with the rest of the group. Maybe some form of bullying, let's say, took place with your group of friends or just like any groups of people, because it is communities, that 11th house. But usually like with the 11th house, it is communities for some form of larger purpose. So you guys might find yourselves later on in life, maybe you guys now are seeking control in this area. You guys might seek control over your friends, your groups of friends, or whatever communities you guys are a part of. So that's kind of like what takes place here. It could be some form of trauma that took place. Maybe you guys were a little bit out of the box, or just like different, or just like futuristic overall, maybe with your ideas. Maybe people didn't resonate with what you said, or kind of like ostracized you away from the community. You guys maybe felt like you didn't fit in, or people made fun of you guys, especially for your ideas, because it is a futuristic way of thinking. And then you guys might find that a few years down the road, everybody's doing that thing that you guys spoke about. So that's kind of like the tricky thing with the 11th house energy. It's always all about trying to figure out the timing of when to pitch your ideas, when to share your ideas, because you could have the greatest idea ever, but the collective might not be ready to receive it yet. A lot of the time for 11th house people, what I always recommend for these individuals is to start where the collective is at and then slowly bring them up to your level, because the thing is they will eventually get to your ideas. You guys are just very, very ahead of your time with the 11th house energy in there. So you guys might hide this aspect about yourself. Maybe you were ostracized, let's say from the community, or people made fun of you, or you guys felt like you didn't fit in, and you guys have this wound that you guys are carrying within. And it's interesting because it's like Pluto likes to hide sometimes, especially when it's unhealed or it's underdeveloped, or it's kind of going through that internal like crisis within and that internal like transformation within. It's more so in hiding, because Pluto sometimes does deal with the ego. So like Pluto / Scorpionic energy, like they don't like when people point out their wounds or like their issues before they're ready to either hear it themselves, or they've kind of like processed it themselves. They're ready to talk about it later. Like let's say they've gone through it already, like that whole like transformational process that does take place within, and then they'll talk about it. People around you might be surprised. Like let's say you guys come out and maybe you guys are like motivational speakers at like schools where you guys are like sharing maybe like your bullying experience when you were young. It's obviously not going to be bullying for everyone. I'm just kind of giving you guys an example of how your power could have been taken away from you. It could perpetuate throughout different areas of your life, because really you guys are going to struggle in the area wherever there are power dynamics. So it could be with teachers or parents or managers. Maybe your parents didn't really like listen to your ideas when you guys were younger. What tends to happen with 11th house people anywhere really in their natal chart, their throat chakra gets shut off at a young age because they feel like their ideas aren't accepted. And the thing is, what I've been meaning to say actually this entire time, like one of the worst things for humans overall is to feel ostracized from the community. Like that's a huge collective wound overall, because that was kind of like a form of punishment back in the day. What they would do is they would kind of like make someone like a laughing stock, or like embarrass them or humiliate them in front of this like large group of people. But what has to take place sometimes is like you have to kind of go through that process and like eventually get to the point of not caring. So that's kind of like neutralizing that energy within and eventually continue speaking your truth. So that's the thing, the throat chakra tends to get shut off for 11th house people. For you guys, it's in the Pluto area, but in general, these people might not share their ideas with the fear of being ostracized from the community or bullied or criticized or whatever it is. It could be any form of wound that does take place where it's like you guys don't fit in. But it's like that quote, you know, if you're not fitting in, you were born to stand out, whatever that quote is. So that's kind of like the vibe here. So you guys are eventually meant to stand out. But if you guys are still in like the lower versions of Pluto and Scorpio, when you guys go out of that pendulum swing of maybe feeling powerless, you guys might now want to control the same area as well. So this energy, because it is Aquarius, highly intelligent, highly intellectual, when you guys are in like the other end of the pendulum swing, you guys might want to maybe make other people feel dumb or unintelligent or like they don't understand you. Like it could go into that shadow aspect as well. So you guys want to find that happy medium where it's like you're sharing ideas. It's like you're not sharing them maybe in a condescending way or like in a way where you guys are trying to exert your power over other individuals. But that's just like the pendulum swing of Pluto / Scorpionic energy overall. It's usually like wherever they felt powerless, they try to exert the power in that area because it's like unconsciously you're trying to do this because in a way you don't want to feel powerless again. And like Scorpio energetically is very, very vulnerable and they don't want to be exposed for their vulnerability. It's a very, very self-preserving energy, Pluto / Scorpio. So with it being self-preserving, like it's going to be very like strategic in terms of what it tells you, especially once again when it's in its lower versions, after it's overcome this whole like trauma and catharsis and like intense crisis that you guys may have experienced in the 11th house, which is maybe with your friends, your ideas, your mind, just being unique and quirky and different. Maybe it's even the way that you guys dress or just like express yourselves overall. After you guys overcome this and get a grasp of maybe what took place, then only do you guys kind of come out of hiding and like show it to the world. So sometimes Plutonian / Scorpionic energy, like what can happen with this energy is like sometimes this energy can be very secretive. It can be very much like doing things in secret or like in hiding, or like it can even go into like double life aspects of itself, because it's like when people are living a double life, that just means there's some form of a desire there that's not being expressed. But the whole thing here is it's like it's not being expressed because there's some sort of negative emotion connected to it, usually shame, because Scorpio does it with the sacral chakra from my own observations at least. Because it does deal with the sacral chakra, it could either be shame or guilt, or just like because it is the 11th house for you guys, maybe just like shame or guilt around the fact of being unconventional and different and out of the box. But it's like the energy's still there could be a curiosity still there. So it's like you guys might do it in hiding, you guys might do it in secret, you guys might have like double lives or whatever it is when you guys are underdeveloped or like just unaware of this energy, because it's like the energy still has to come out at the end of the day is really what that is. So the divine version of Scorpio is when everything is brought to light. Scorpio doesn't want to be found out though, and a lot of the time they do end up getting exposed, unfortunately, because that's just like the nature of the plane, especially the higher up we go in the vibrations. And really what it all comes down to is just some form of emotion that's connected to that particular thing. Now with that being said, because it is the 11th house and Pluto deals with sex, death, rebirth, joint finances, taxes, and the occult, you guys might be very unconventional when it comes to your sexuality. For example, you guys might be very different in this area, and same thing, you know, you guys might not express it fully or want to express it. So that's the whole thing, is that pendulum swing, because it's all about embracing who we truly are at the end of the day. And it's like if the energy is there, you want to see how you can express it in a divine version compared to kind of trying to suppress it, and then it kind of comes out in the shadow aspect of itself. So just something important to keep in mind, because it is the 11th house. This energy can deal with friends and groups of friends. So with that being said, you guys might have a lot of intimacy encounters with your friends or your groups of friends, or this could be like the way that you encounter these partners or just like intimate partners overall. I'm trying to kind of speak between the lines here, but it could be because it is the house of friendship as well. It's also the house of like community. So you guys might have like secret friends or friends you don't tell people about, or you guys might be part of like secret groups or like undercover groups or like hidden groups. Once again, things that you guys aren't showing to the public. And at the end of the day, like yes, Scorpio always wants to be private, but it always depends as to what is happening energetically and behind the scenes with the Scorpionic energy. Like why are they doing what they're doing? Like what is the actual emotion behind it? Because it's like sometimes you want to be private because it's like not everyone needs to know your business, but sometimes you're like trying really hard to be private, because once again, it could be coming from a place of control or even a negative emotion. So only you guys are going to know the answer to that. But that's the overall idea with that 11th house energy. And same thing in terms of your ideas, you guys could be secretive about it. You know, Plutonian Scorpionic energy sometimes has like secret accounts. So maybe you guys have secret accounts where you share your ideas, but it's like it's all about bringing it to the surface. That's kind of like the whole idea here. It's from being in the dark and bringing it out into the light, and like being okay with like showing these aspects of yourselves that you guys are maybe unique and quirky and you have all of these futuristic ideas. Because ultimately, like the 11th house is the humanitarian sign, and it's like it's always that vibe of like being here for something bigger, some form of larger purpose, basically helping connect the collective and propel them forward. Now, with that being said, the 11th house is the house of tech and innovation, the internet, all these things that are innovative. So you guys might have very specific ideas when it comes to this, and it's coming through to tell you guys this. So maybe this is going to resonate with somebody out there who watches this video. But because Plutonian energy and Scorpionic energy does deal with sexuality overall, maybe after you guys engage in this area, you guys get your clarity and you guys get your ideas and you get your downloads and you guys get your futuristic ideas this way as well. So it could be this, it doesn't have to be with another person, it could be potentially with yourself as well. So it's coming through, I gotta tell you guys, but maybe this is something that you guys do unconsciously. That's the whole thing. Like you guys might not even be aware that this is what's taking place energetically, but in a way it's Aquarius. So like Aquarius 11th house energy is always pulling something from the ethers. Like they're very clear cognizant in this way. So it could come through from like just thinking and like really dwelling on things, and that's how you guys get your ideas, but it could come through in this other way as well. So this is the whole idea here, is that pendulum swing. You guys go through some form of intense catharsis, trauma, crisis within, shame, guilt, like just all the lower vibrational emotions. Once you guys have transmuted these energies within you, you can go into the other extreme where you guys are trying to get power in this particular area because it is Scorpio. And ultimately, like at the end of the day with Scorpio, after it goes through all of its phases, it gets to that neutralization point, which is somewhere in the middle where it's calm. It has like a calm confidence. It doesn't have to do anything like extra to basically show that it's powerful in that area, because you guys just have the confidence within that you guys are already that. So for you guys, it is in that 11th house area of friendships, humanitarian things, humanitarianism, being futuristic, being unique, being quirky, ahead of your time, all of your ideas, your futuristic ideas, maybe even innovations. So with all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I do hope you guys enjoyed my video on Pluto in the 11th house. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.